Bold, daring, unpredictable. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. with Robert Vaughn and David McCallum. Friday at 8:30, 7:30 Central Time on NBC.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
Years of work pretty much into this big coffee table book, which now is benefited by a show like this where you can see a lot of this stuff that I newly created and some of the older stuff I've done.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. For just $3 a month or more, you'll get exclusive access to the Word Balloon e-magazine, featuring transcriptions of some of my best conversations. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for another Scene Missing Word Balloon broadcast. Everybody, good to see you. And we got a very fun, well, not really a fun, we got a really sad movie that we're talking about today.
It's fun as well. It's not just sad.
No.
It's also stylized and, and awkward at times and kind of transcended at times. It's all sorts of things. It's Charles Laughton's Night of the Hunter.
Indeed. I'm sorry. I'm going to block out two people when I do. There we go. Gabe and Steve Lieber. Steve joining us. Good to see Steve. Good to see Allison Baker.
Hey,
along with our other usuals. Good to see Parker, Jeff Parker, everybody, and Ian Brill. This is, I know Parker has been burning about this movie for months, haven't you, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I just people liked the last time we talked about a movie, so I thought there's another movie we've all watched. Let's talk about
it. A good movie, though, right? People liked it when we talked about a good movie, as opposed to 90% of the movies that we talk about.
Yeah, they don't like it when we talk about Skidoo. So
sometimes some of them do. Some of them.
That's fair.
Some of them like awkward. Some of them like a convoy, but I think it's better when we do this.
Once in a while.
Well, Jeff, you start, but then also I know there's a bigger story in terms of why Steve is here as well. But what made you oh, hey man, we got to do Night of the Hunter? Because that was you. That was coming from you.
Was it?
You never know.
I don't know. I don't know. Sometime last year I watched it again and I got Hunter fever. I was just like, man, this story was 50 years ahead of its time. In a way, the movie itself is a throwback to a movie from the 30s, but yet it's also something that you wouldn't expect to be handled until the late 90s. My God, there's just so much going on, and then we can get to the bottom of why do we think Charles Laughton only did this, or it's kind of the equivalent stepping up at bat, knocking it out of the park, and then I'm done. I'm never going to top that.
Yeah,
well,
that's 1,000.
So Jeff, when was the first time you saw it? We should go around the horn and.
I don't know. I was a teenager.
Do you have any idea? It's something that you were a lot younger and saw, right?
Yeah,
or something. I don't know. I saw it when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
The first time. Oh no, it was in New York City. So I was 16, 17. I saw it in a theater, so in a revival theater, which is a great way to see it. A movie like this.
Yeah.
Allison, do you what?
I saw it 2 days ago. So
the first time.
Really? Yeah, exactly.
How'd you like it?
I thought there were lots of interesting choices on varying levels, like acting choices, directing choices, script choices, editing choices that were unusual and surprising.
Yes, absolutely.
And ever since we've talked about lockdown and John made us lock down a date for talking this, Lieber's had Stanley Cortez stills on his side computer at work just over and over. We just keep looking at it like, wow, what a shot. Man,
Stanley Cortez
Yeah,
is the director of
I mean-
photography of this, and who also shot Magnificent Ambersons, and I mean, really, this and Magnificent Ambersons are the things he's known for the most. But he was a legendary cinematographer and one of those kind of guys who was a fixture of at the ASC and stuff. He was big part of the Cinematographer Society, well, Steve, what about you? How'd you come to this?
It first came on my radar because I had read Spike Lee's book about Do the Right Thing, and he talked about Bill Nunn with the love and hate Four Finger Rings. So I got to see part of it at some point in 89 or 90 or whatever that was. But I never actually got to watch the whole thing until a few months ago, and watched it and was just obsessed. And I think I've watched it 4 times since then, just trying to absorb all the gorgeous ambiguities that run through it.
Mm-hmm. Ian?
I had seen this maybe about 10 years ago on TCM. Side note, I don't know if you guys have that thing where you think of like 2010 or 2015 and you realize that's like 10 or 15 years ago, and that existential chill goes down your spine. That's happened to me a few times. But yeah, seeing on TCM, and I knew its reputation, and I knew it was the only movie directed by Charles Lawton. And this is one of those movies, I think of Planet of the Apes or Saturday Night Fever, which I call parody proof, which it's still good even if you've seen the parodies of it. And in my case, I had seen Do the Right Thing with Love and Hate, which is more of a tribute than parody.
Yeah.
But then also on The Simpsons, when Sideshow Bob had LU, because they have 4 fingers, LUV, and then HAT with a little thing over the A.
Yeah.
Even with those in my mind, the film still had all it, and Robert Mitchum's performance still packed a punch. Literally, and sometimes.
Yeah.
Agreed. I first saw it, much like Gabe, I saw it in high school. And I've talked about this before. We were very fortunate around Northwestern University. There was this wonderful second run and cult movie theater called The Varsity. The Music Box in the city still does basically the same kind of programming. And that's where I first saw it. And I prior to that, I had seen the infamous love-hate, hand wrestle thing, which is great. And I mean, it really is the signature thing. And I'm sure I saw it on like a Best of Hollywood sort of clip show or whatever. So that intrigued me. But then when the movie came around, I took my date. And it was great because, again, we were used to every now and then the abusive father movie. But this really was kind of the first of the modern age. Like you guys said, it was well ahead of its time. Before we go to everybody else talking, a couple of comments. Don Lenza points out the movie is not in the AFI Top 100. That's surprising because it is a classic.
Yeah,
I really think
totally. But I mean, why would we certainly can't go by something like that. I mean, the great movies are usually things that are at least slightly fringy.
But AFI usually does, like
updates for the times and stuff. And I mean, the critical reception of the times, of course.
Yeah, and also like I literally just finished the Spinal Tap book and saw the sequel and everything. And Reiner says how thrilled he was that it got picked, for 100 best movies. And it is a great comedy movie and stuff, but certainly was a cult movie, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, there's still only 100 of them.
G.Q. Rojo wants to know if any of us have read the book by Davis Grubb.
Yeah, I went trying to dig a copy up, and all I was able to find was an excerpt online, which actually kind of delivered the thesis of the book in a single sentence. Very, very early in the book, when I got to read just the first few pages, the book opens up. The first shot in the book is the chalkmark drawing of the hangman that the kids are using to tease our heroes, and mom, rather than just being the completely passive Shelley Winters, one of the first things she does is make her son swear to never tell Pearl what happened to her dad. And then here's the line that just haunts me, and clearly it's kind of the thesis of the book. He describes Grubb describes that compact between mom and her son as the sole and monstrous truth which loomed in his small world like a fairy book ogre.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of the things about this movie is that it's often kind of lumped. It's often thought of as a film noir, right? And it's not, right? Like it's
dark, but it's not.
It's certainly, it has lighting that is reminiscent of that, but that's also just coming from the German expressionist influence. And I don't think it's a noir at all. I think it's like a sort of fairy tale. It doesn't really fit, the way people talk about noir for the most part. Like it doesn't. I mean, apart from John feeling sad about it, it doesn't actually have a terrible, too downbeat of an ending. I mean, there is some catharsis, and I mean, it's.
It violates you could say the number one rule of film noir, the fact that you're following two innocent characters. And in film noir, usually no one is truly innocent, and here you have the children.
Although, look, and I mean, we haven't actually talked about what the movie is about. I mean, it's Robert Mitchum plays a preacher character, a kind of self-made preacher who finds out that the father of the two main kids had stolen some money and hidden it someplace. So he's sort of on a mission to find that money, and the son, his whole thing is about never telling where it is. And I guess though, now that Ian points it out, I think he is a little bit guilty, right? He's participating in this. He's like, in the crime, right? And he's, I mean, it's from a kid's point of view of keeping an oath to his dad, but he's basically implicated in a crime. The movie doesn't really deal with it in that way because we think of him as doing something kind of noble, but really it's protecting money, which is kind of a questionable thing. So I'm inching back to film noir a little bit, but still.
Yeah, I mean, no, absolutely. As far as dead guy with money, guy trying to find the money and everything, kind of that noir thing and everything. But I wonder regarding the very, very end and the happy ending, or whatever, the Christmas thing and everything. It almost felt tacked on where maybe the studio or somebody, and I don't know if this is true or not, went to Lawton and said, wow, that's really down. Can we brighten it up in a different way, like how Woman of the Year of all movies comes to mind, where the wacky, oh my God, Katharine Hepburn is so brilliant and what an amazing woman, but she has this Lucy Ricardo moment in the kitchen where she can't handle just being a domesticated wife and everything. Oh, silly Kate. And it just, especially, I mean, I love the impact at the end of the courtroom and everything where, John's on the stand and so devastated for him, what he's gone through. Yeah. And it's just like, man, it would have really been powerful to the end.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I absolutely get that argument, and it is a really idiosyncratic ending. I mean, and one that I usually don't even remember is there. But at the same time, I think it kind of works in the weird scheme of the movie that the movie begins, and I will let other people talk. But the movie begins with Lillian Gish talking directly to the camera, talking to us, the audience, basically as children, and and I feel like so much of what this movie is about the point of view of these children and their way of interpreting a scary world.
Yeah, if the kids are adults, you've got No Country for Old Men.
Yeah,
sure. But they and also Gish, and even in the middle of the movie, kind of consoles John and it's like children are strong, they know how to endure these things. And so we're back to that at the end. So, I mean, it works, fine and everything.
From a purely just now, this is more cynical, and I don't think that's where they were going in the story of the movie, but I think the fact you got to realize how big a thing it is to have a serial killer preacher as this main character, and how scared they must have been that this thing wasn't going to show all over the country. So they have to have Mrs. Cooper as the real religious figure.
Right.
Like that's his foil, basically.
Who sees through his bullshit immediately, doesn't even listen to his right hand, left hand story.
Right.
Like she knows a faker from a mile away. And so does John. So does John's dad, Ben Harper. Like they're all kind of the same character who just immediately see Harry Powell for what he is.
But it's satisfying because she's the only one who really in his world who validates this. This he's been running. No one believes him. No one believes either of them. And that moment where she just believes him, she looks into his eyes, believes him, and goes, "No, you're right. He's not your dad, and he's not a preacher." And that there's so much buildup to it. I think it's a really satisfying moment.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that she's the only woman in the film that doesn't just go gaga over him. Everybody else does, but she does not.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
that's
you're
right.
one
A
of
woman.
The movie really is almost like a mix between a noir and a fairy tale, which is a very strange mix. But throughout the film, there's a lot of kind of touches of fairy tales. One of the, instead of a wicked stepmother, Harry Powell becomes a wicked stepfather. But that sense of being a child, I know there's a monster. The adults don't believe me, which is the drama of at least the first half of the film, is such a primal fairy tale thing, and that's what makes this one of the things that makes this film so fascinating. Is that it mixes, real drama with that, fairy tale, Grimm's fairy tale kind of thing.
Yeah, and dreamy imagery too.
Should we bumble through a recap for people who haven't seen it?
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I'll do a little bit. I'll pass it off wherever. Okay. We open with Harry Powell, the evil preacher who's, cruising along in his car, talking to God about where's my next widow with the money hidden behind a sugar bowl. So he right away, there's no hiding the fact that he is the bad guy. And he gets the other interesting thing where I say parts of the movie are way ahead of their time is he gets nabbed in a burlesque hall, and he is watching a woman, and he is furious. He's gripping his switchblade in his pocket with his hate hand and everything, and he goes on a quick little weird rant about women with their perfumes and their curls. Like he's got some deep-seated issue, and we never get that story.
But in that scene, you get the switchblade going through his his pants or whatever. The most kind of violently phallic image you're going to find.
Which is the first sign, not to go too much on a tangent yet, is that sexual repression is also a big part of this. It's strange that on one hand it's a kid's fairy tale, but on the other hand, sexual repression is also another major theme of this film.
It is.
Yeah.
Cop nabbed him in there because he stole a car. He gets thrown in jail, and he is in jail, finds himself on the top bunk of Peter Graves, who is John and Pearl's dad, Ben Harper. And he's muttering in his sleep, and Mitchum's down there like hanging over listening. And luckily, Peter Graves wakes up just in time and socks him because Peter Graves is a big guy, and to have someone who can knock Mitchum out, you got to have like James Arness's brother in this movie. And so anyway, now Mitchum is on to the fact that there's $10,000 he hid somewhere, and he's about to get hung by his neck till he is dead, as they say. And so he can't wait to get out and get on the road and go find the family. So then we pick up at the beloved Spoon's Cafe, where Icy Spoon and her poor husband Walter dish out ice cream, and Shelley Winters works for them.
I know that it's named after the people who own it, but the fact that it's an ice cream place called Spoons makes me just feel like it's in the hipster part of town, and like, you know,
the granddaughter turned it into a very trendy Portland.
It is a very Portland name.
Yeah, it's got weird crap in it and like meat. And so I just wanted to get to this part because I figured John was going to have worked out his Evelyn a voice by now, because she is a classic character actor trope. With him.
Winters, Shelley?
No, Evelyn Lynn.
The one
it's Mrs. Spoons, rather.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not ready with my my kettle.
You come in here, girl. You know, everything's female Foghorn Leghorn with.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's just go around the horn, and everybody has to try their impression of this character.
Yeah. Everybody, Mitchum's having the most fun, maybe, but she's definitely giving it her college best.
Well, and again, it's you know, trying to portray that small town kind of thing. So you do need big, broad.
Yeah, but I think it's also that Charles Lawton directed this, and Charles Lawton is fucking huge. He's a very broad performer, right? You know, and and he clearly was pushing everybody to go big with stuff. It's not a subtle movie performance-wise in any way.
Well, yeah, you gotta do all these big swings or it doesn't work. Like, because when you start getting into the German expressionist kind of barns and stuff, and the inside of the upstairs bedroom and everything is like it's all heightened kid memory.
Yeah.
So
I found myself wondering all throughout about the choice to make Shelley Winters' character such a zombie. I mean, she's like one of Dracula's thralls or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying earlier about like all the women that react to him. Like, remember the teenager was like gaga over him after like 5 minutes. The little girl was gaga over him. The Mrs. Spoon was. So I think that there was something. What that was kind of saying was that there was something about him that made women kind of lose their minds a little bit.
Yeah, they call him Bluebeard at the end, but really he's Dracula.
Yeah. And Shelley Winters gets a weirdly kind of realistic part I think, because she's sort of shell shocked. You know, her husband's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's on her own with the kids. Icy keeps telling her what to do with her life. You know, like, here's some guy who just walked up. Trust him.
Icy Spoon.
And Harry Powell, Robert Mitchum, he doesn't reveal that he was a prisoner. He says he was a chaplain at the prison, which is why he knows about Ben Harper.
Well, you know what? I'm just sorry, but as stylized as Shelley Winters' performance is, there's the moment when she figures out that he really is after the money, and it just plays on her face, and she does this kind of like little traumatized tick thing, I think is incredibly naturalistic and kind of powerful after the heightened performance that she gave up until that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I never give her enough credit for being as great of an actress as she was, because sadly, my first exposure was Ma Barker on Batman, and
she's good in loud.
She's great in that, and also Poseidon Adventure. Those literally are the first two things of hers I ever saw. And then I'd see her on the Dinah Shore talk show, and I won an Oscar, and it's like, all right, this woman is so contained. And like you said, Gabe, when she realizes that, well, first of all, Lord, please send me the right man because I made a mistake with my first husband. Please show me the way. So she wants salvation. Who better to get salvation from than this chaplain, who also is very charismatic? And man, I'll tell you, when she's ready to consummate the marriage, and I love that we get to say consummate, and the way he rejects her, yeah, man, that boy, Dr. Freud, I think someone's waiting for you. Is make sure the couch is open. But also her rejection. And then I love, way to go, Jeff, because Jeff's the one who grabbed this image. she's ready to die or ready for salvation.
She's already in
Yeah.
the corpse position.
Yeah.
She knows what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just
and she's
accepting
ready
her
to meet the
fate.
maker. Yeah.
And
yeah.
that whole thing where he, shames her for
Oh yeah, the whole thing with this. That.
Yeah, everything about it. That whole thing. It's like she's, like, I just think it's like a Martin Scorsese level uncomfortable between humans sort of thing where it's so like, in most every circumstance you would imagine, he's manipulating her. He wants sex from her. He wants and he's manipulating her by like keeping her at a distance. He clearly has issues with sex that he can't deal with. Like there's a lot of layers of perversity in this thing.
Yeah, and I mean, again, 1950s. I thought that was the Reagan era of calm and sweet and everything. Don't get me wrong. I realize God's Little Acre and things like that were also happening alongside all the nice calm stuff and everything. But yeah, again, this is why it's so beyond its time. Go ahead, Al. Pardon me.
I have a question. Did y'all find it unusual that this was a 55 movie, but it was set during the Depression? That doesn't seem typical to me from that era.
I think that's true. I mean, I don't think there were a lot of things. I mean, there probably were, but like, but I think that it's weird that it's set during Depression, but it's like this kind of spooky Depression. Like like we never get a lot of the stuff that you like, the normal stuff that you would get to indicate that. You know what I mean? Like bread lines and whatever and everything. It's all from his point of view,
But it's rural, so like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like it's the fact that you've got like children that are alone everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
And
it was the
and
indication
also,
to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, I think that's the strongest part. When they're in the boat, they go get the potatoes from the woman.
That's what I was going to say. Yes. Exactly. No, and that's the thing. And I would imagine during the Depression, that is kind of the rural Depression experience.
Yeah.
So other than Grapes of Wrath, obviously.
Well, yeah, there just aren't depression. There aren't as many depression signifiers in it as you'd think for something that is setting it up that way.
And I think an important thing for the studios at this point would be dad robbing a bank or robbing the safe or wherever it was he got the money from. Would seem more forgivable in the context of the Depression than it would in the context of prosperous America 1955.
Yeah,
true, absolutely. I wonder how Lawton got the gig. Did I don't know if you researched that.
Well, he had he's deep in his career, right? He was born in 1899, so he had and wasn't in the greatest of health. And he was getting to the point where he couldn't just act all the time, right? He would the producer of this thing, Paul Gregory, was a guy who he'd been an actor and then became an agent, and he kind of like he saw Lawton reading from the Bible on TV. He was also in New York, and he basically just got in a cab, went over to the studio, and met Lawton on the way out, and kind of begged him, was like, hey, you're leaving $1 million on the table every year. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, and so he ended up convincing him to do a book tour, like a tour of readings from the Bible, right? And like they kind of became partners, business partners through that. And then ultimately Lawton ended up directing the Caine Mutiny Court Martial on Broadway, and it's him transitioning into directing. He really hadn't directed prior to all this. So was trying to transition into being a film director as well, because like his opportunities for constantly acting and stuff, it just wasn't that point in his career anymore. And I think that it was a book that Lawton had admired. It was a relatively recent best-selling type book at the time, and it was something he admired. It was something that but I suspect And I think that this movie, as much as there's an enormous amount of great stuff and nuanced stuff and interesting stuff, I think this movie is also kind of awkwardly made. It was made quickly. There's a lot of stuff in it that, that sometimes is dreamy, but often is also kind of, they ran out of time to shoot something, right? Like it's, there are freeze frames for, for exteriors or things that just, that are desperation moves in the editing room in order to make this work together. There is one thing out there that's like 2 hours of, for whatever reason, they printed everything for this movie, right? Like, used to be, you only print the good takes, right, on film because it's expensive. But for whatever reason, on this low budget movie, they printed everything. So there are tons of extended takes, outtakes, him, Lawton directing from off camera. There's 2 hours of this stuff floating around there. You can find it on YouTube. It's also on the Criterion disc. And like, I think that part of what makes this movie so interesting in a way is because Lawton was not a skilled director, a film director or a visualist in a certain way, but he's working with Cortez, who has his ideas. He's working with James Agee, the screenwriter, who apparently wrote like a 300-page script that Lawton personally then had to cut down. There's a lot of interesting elements that come together, and I feel like it's one of those movies that almost exists by mistake. I think that it is a Charles Lawton movie, but I also think that it's not like it's not something that was perfectly crafted. I think it's something that came together.
Yeah, that I did listen to all the things where Lawton does line reads with the kids.
Yeah,
and that's where he's having a little. He clearly, like, he's nice to the little girl, Pearl, who is a kid who won a contest for singing a song. She's the Honey Boo Boo of the 50s, and she's like,
don't say that. God bless that kid. No, please.
No, she's a great kid, but she sounds like her.
I get it. I just hate Honey Boo Boo.
She's that was kind of her weird place, and clearly they had planned for her to sing the lullaby, and then they didn't even use it. Yeah, they dubbed in someone else. But when you're listening to the thing, he's very sweet with her and giving her direction, and he's really hard on the boy. It's kind of painful to listen to, and because like the kid doesn't have the director's big picture of anything. He just knows what he knows in his lines and everything, and Lawton's getting kind of fed up with him, and it sort of is. So I really felt on some of those. I'm like, oh man, just like I don't know, just like let somebody ask Mitchum to talk to the kids or something, like.
I had heard in the past that Mitchum was the one who like interacted with the kids a lot, and that Lawton was less engaged. But those outtakes say a completely different thing, though. I mean, he is right there, and weirdly constantly feeding lines to everybody. Like, he seems to be feeding all of the off-camera lines no matter what. I don't know how they scheduled this thing that nobody was there to give off-camera lines, but I think that he probably just wanted to do it, but but he is really harsh with the kid. I mean, there's the really weirdly interesting thing of the way that the kid reacts to his dad being arrested. Right. And then when Mitchum is arrested at the end, after terrorizing him for the entire time, he like internalizes it exactly the same way as he did when his father was arrested. But the thing where he grabs his stomach, you can see in the outtakes that Lawton is fucking punching him in the stomach right before the take every single time, or at least kind of slapping him on the stomach to get him to react that way. Yeah. I don't know how ethical a lot of this stuff is, but you know.
What's John's name? What's the actor's name?
Ben Chaplin.
Ben Chaplin?
Chaplin without the L.
Oh, Chaplin, excuse me. Okay. It's weird, and maybe hearing all this about the outtakes and everything, he was on this great YouTube channel that I adore called A Word on Westerns. It's this producer, Rob Word, and he talks to all these character actors and leads that made Western movies that are still around. And he's on there talking about, I believe he was Red Ryder's sidekick in the old Red Ryder serial, did a lot of TV as well. But I really don't remember them talking at all about Night of the Hunter. And I wonder if Lawton's, acting towards him and traumatized him in some way that he's like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But he's really good. And I've seen a lot of his work. And he always was this solid kid. And he had a lot of heavy lifting in this movie for being a kid.
Yeah, he's the star of the movie.
He really came to play. I mean, he was great.
It's some tough parts. Like when he's doing the. I was reading since Hardman gave us the script, and I was reading that it describes him just shouting no or whatever when they capture Harry Powell, like he did with his dad. But what he's doing, and it's clearly Lawton directing him. He's trying to do a kind of almost inward hollow no, but it's a hard thing to get a kid actor to do.
Yeah, and and you can there's stuff where you can hear Lawton off camera and saying to him, smile like it's like you're in pain or something like that. Like it's I can't remember exactly what the words are, but over and over again, to a child, right? And he's kind of trying to understand what it is and not quite getting there. But I mean, and I imagine that Lawton is picturing something even bigger than what the kid is giving him.
Right.
And I think what the kid gave him was really good, though. I mean, if anything, the awkward bits of it are often about how they covered it. I mean, everything is
when he finally covers his mouth, then it's like that all took too long. That's Lawton.
But and looking at looking at all that stuff, it felt like they probably shot too much coverage of a lot of those dialogue scenes and a lot of stuff, the stuff that Lawton wanted to focus on, and then ran out of time for some of the other stuff that wasn't as fun for him to do. That's what my guess is about it, because there's lots of setups that are never used in the movie. There's lots of there's close-ups that they never use. They often stick with big kind of proscenium type masters, and never cut into all that stuff. I think he shot tons of the actors that he didn't need.
We should probably get to the big murder because I bothered to learn how to screenshot on Amazon. So
we're gonna get there.
Those things.
No, but go ahead. Yeah,
I've always hated the whole thing. You grab it and then it's like, I got nothing. But now I know what to do. Turn off graphic accelerator. That's the key.
Okay. Well, good to know.
And then you can grab the picture or whatever.
I don't know what that means, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't either, but all right.
It's in Chrome, and that's like, watch. My computer's going to shut down in the middle of this for saying how to screw with Chrome or whatever. So anyway, it does seem like Harry Powell is it's eating at him. He can't wait to kill Shelley Winters, and just the fact that he's having to leave her alive so long seems to be just eating him to death till he finally, in that one night, they do the shot of their bedroom, and it's supposed to be up in an attic, but it's this enormous, just like weird twisting ceiling that's like his church. And that's the way I read it.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. And it's and then he.
You don't have the picture that I sent? Crap.
I thought that was it. The church.
No. There's the shot where he's holding
with the kind of spire shaped. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll find it, buddy. Keep
going. But this is also where it shifts into very expressionistic stuff, and the more so than any time earlier, and obviously German expressionism was an influence on this, but I think silent movies are in general were a big influence on this. That kind there's a lot of not only kind of obvious visual things, the thing we're talking about, or there's a shot that Iris is in at one point, which was an incredibly old-fashioned, I think at the time people would have thought of laughably old-fashioned thing to do, and this was Cortez's idea, and Cortez did push the visuals in this direction, but they did go to MoMA or someplace together and watched a bunch of silent movies, and there's a lot of silent kind of storytelling in this. The cutting between the train and like her thinking about about some other having some other husband, and then intercut with just like him relentlessly coming towards them. Like it's more like, and the way that it's intercut is more like a silent movie than you would do in a 1955 sound film.
And also, Lillian Gish,
yes,
coming at the end, she was a huge star.
One of the biggest stars in the world. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. But also, my God, she's like Abe Vigoda, where this is only 20, 30, maybe 30 years, I guess, since her ingenue days, and she looked like this for another 30 years, into the 80s and everything. So here's the church.
I think she looks good in this movie.
There we are.
Sorry, better late than ever. And also, we haven't given up for one of my absolute favorite character actors from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the great James Gleason, Uncle Bertie.
Yeah.
God, I love that guy. I love him in everything. Meet John Doe, Last Hurrah. Of course, Here Comes Mr. Jordan. But he's fantastic as Uncle Bertie, and it's it's a shame that Uncle Bertie didn't come to the rescue, but he's an old man.
But I think that's absolutely necessary. It has the fact that that it felt like the kid felt like he had somebody he could turn to, but he didn't because of that guy's failings.
They make a big point of it. He says, "Come to me, something's up," and everything, and then as soon as he sees her underwater in the car, for some reason, his head goes straight to, they're going to blame me. This is, of course, the famous shot, or one of them.
Yeah, that's Dead Shelley right there, everybody.
Yeah, I do want, I don't know if there's more to this in the novel, but him jumping to they're going to blame me, and then him always looking at the photo of his dead wife. It's like, wait, what happened there? Like, what happened to the past?
There's at least two other good movies suggested in this.
Yeah.
But and then like briefly when he's bawling and he's drunk, and he briefly describes what you can't see there, the underwater shot where he talks about her neck being open like she had another mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's actually pretty revolting little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know how they got this shot though. It is pretty amazing.
It's a mannequin.
It's a mannequin in a tank.
Oh, there you go.
They did a Shelley. They made a Shelley face, put it on her.
But that's great. That's movies. Movies are fake.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. No, look, and again, the way it's shot.
Yeah.
So hats off to Cortez.
We were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but when Lawton was developing this and working on the script, and he was reaching out to Davis Grubb, the novelist, he wouldn't, the novelist guy, he kept drawing things for him instead of replying with with like more textured or psychological analysis, and these drawings were like, Lawton fell in love with these drawings. They're kind of out there. You can see them on the Criterion disc, and there's some places on YouTube you can see them. And they're actually really interesting and evocative. He basically came up with that image of the novelist basically came up with that image of the of her underwater and the flowing hair and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's very similar to what they did.
I like this. Interesting.
It's a cool style.
Yeah, it's very simple and kind of, a slightly untrained feel to it, but it communicates the ideas.
It has a style to it though too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He was the Jules Feiffer of his day. And like Jules Feiffer, a multi-hyphenate. Novelist.
Thank you.
Cartoonist.
Oh, please, my God. Absolute Renaissance man. No question. And again, give it up to Lawton. Like you said, man, hit the ball out of the park, and all right, that's enough.
That's where, once you get through the murder, then it sets up that whole, the dreamlike travel down the river part of the movie that I love so much.
Mm-hmm.
even though there's stuff that like really doesn't need to be there. You don't need to see the owl and the frog and all that. Like that.
What?
The turtle.
You don't need. Yes, you do need to see the frog. You absolutely need to see the frog.
Well,
I
Frog
agree.
is in
I
the
agree with
screenplay.
Gabe. I love the frog.
I love all that stuff. I love how heightened.
You
all
see
that
the owl with the
Yeah.
string. You know that I'm just like you didn't need it.
I've been going back and forth as to whether those animals are symbols of other predators, or if they're like animal guardians watching over the kids.
I mean, I think that it's
I hadn't thought
all
about
of that, and I think that it's kind of, but in a kind of dreamy kid kind of way, you know, and and there's also animals that just wouldn't be there, like the big tortoise and stuff. Like they're just not. It doesn't make logical sense, but that's helping us in this dreamy world, you know, and like taking us further down into a, I mean, as much as this is from the kid's point of view, and it has that fairy tale quality to it. There are clearly different movements in this picture, right? Like it starts with a kind of naturalism, and and it shifts over the course of the stuff with with the mother and all up to her death, and then it becomes absolutely a dream world when we're going down the river. And going down a river, all these things are very kind of iconic, and we obviously talk about Moses later, and and the kind of mythological sort of feeling to all of it.
It helps with the storybook feel with it, and there is I think there is a great payoff, because you see there's a bit where you see two rabbits, and they're actually very large in the frame, and the kids are very small in the background. And then later on at Rachel, the woman at the end, Lillian Gish, who she's not really running an orphanage, but she has all these orphans that she takes care of, and she's kind of like on a farm, I guess. There's a bit where an owl is looking at a rabbit, and you don't see the owl kill the rabbit, but you hear it, and that predator prey thing pays off and feeds into the overall thing.
Mm-hmm. I also really, for the 10 minutes that he's in the movie at the beginning, another guy that you see him get jobs like this all through the 50s and 60s, well before Mission Impossible. Peter Graves is great.
Yeah.
And immediately, his character, even though he did this robbery and everything, you feel for him. And, he's trying to be the best dad he can, despite being a crook. It's that's pretty cool. He's really great.
Can we talk about the? Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I just wanted to know: did anybody manage to score a copy of the 1991 TV remake?
No.
Okay, I watched a bit of it last night.
This was going so well.
I was going to wait to talk about that, but
somebody brought it up in the chat as well. Go ahead.
Who do you think? Who would you go to if you thought we got to recast Robert Mitchum in one of his most iconic performances? Richard Chamberlain. Richard Chamberlain.
Oh my God.
Yes. Which is bizarre. He's like wearing this handlebar mustache, and it's his hair slicked back. He looks like he maybe had plastic surgery a little too soon before this job. And he but it's set in the present of the time, sort of, it's just not very well dealt with, and it's not good. The dad is played by the guy who plays the preacher who in Deadwood in the first season, who ends up, if anybody's seen Deadwood, who has the aneurysm or whatever that over the course of it, and he's decent, but it's but the kid is like 14. The boy's like 14, and it doesn't. None of it's good, but like I don't know. It was sort of. I mean, it's interesting as a counterpoint. It's interesting to see the different choices they made that weren't very good. Like thinking they're modernizing it.
No, Chamberlain made a lot of those TV movies and miniseries and stuff.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is
this is Shogun.
This is later.
Yeah, I understand.
This is 10 years later.
No, it's that's ironic because I know I watched last year his Bourne Identity, which is much more faithful to the Ludlum book. than the movies, the Damon movies are, and everything. But it was very interesting seeing Richard Chamberlain in The Bourne Identity.
Sure.
So,
speaking of the Peter Graves of it all, did anyone see in the Criterion edition there is a deleted scene that was staged on the Ed Sullivan Show between Graves and Winters? There's I've never heard of this, although I think they should bring it back. On the Ed Sullivan Show, they did a scene which I didn't even know if they knew it was going to be deleted, but like to, I don't know, promote the movie, they had Peter Graves and Shelley Winters do this deleted scene, which was Ben telling Willa, his wife, to marry a man. I guess giving her,
was he a ghost?
His bless. No, she's visiting him in prison. And then apparently there was another Ed Sullivan appearance, but with Mitchum and Shelley Winters. But Mitchum was really bad, and there's like a thing where he's talking about love and hate, but he puts up the wrong hand. Like he says love.
You mean he was drunk?
Yeah,
I get it.
And that might have contributed to the fact that the film was not a success. But this idea of like, to promote a film, we're going to have the cast come on and do live. Actually, it fits with.
I have seen other Sullivan episodes with clips like that. That I remember a Mr. Roberts scene played out on Ed Sullivan. I believe I remember a King and I scene played out on Ed Sullivan. So I hear what you're saying, Ian, and absolutely by today's television and film standards, it's crazy. But I guess back then, I'm sure some money was exchanged between a studio and Ed to promote the thing this way. Now on our stage,
the clip on the Criterion doesn't have Ed Sullivan introducing it, which I wish.
That's a damn shame.
I wish it had that.
No, that's cool, man. I love it. Again,
one thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
No, continue, please.
The one thing about that kind of fascinates me about the Mitchum preacher character is that he's a serial killer and he's a preacher. But the one thing that really stood out to me at the beginning of this is that he's driving along by himself talking to God at the beginning of it. He believes.
He does legitimately think he's talking to God.
He's
like, that's not an act.
Everybody talks about him, his character, as a con man, but I don't think it's as simple as that. I think he believes in the stuff that he's talking about. He talks about in the in the prison. He says that he both says with the holding the switchblade that I come not in peace but with a sword, and that when Graves asks him what religion it is that he professes to believe in, he says the religion the Almighty and me worked out betwixt us, right? So like it's his interpretation of all of this stuff, but I think that I think that he firmly believes it all too, which I think is something that is a more alienating thing for this, if you're a religious person, presumably, if you're somebody in the Deep South or whatever, right? Like the people they would be worried about not engaging with this movie. I think it's a more like kind of a bolder take than you probably would have gotten, in something else.
No, he has worked religion into his way of thinking. God approves of what he's doing.
He has his own, his own idea of it. It's like his idea of it is the idea.
Yeah. No, God gets me as I kill people.
Well, you're saying, you've got plenty of killing in your Bible. He's giving God shit. There when he's
and telling him how he's like he knows that he's on the right track because of that, right?
Yeah. What's his line? That where he expresses regret that he can't kill the whole world.
Right. I can't remember, but yeah.
And he mentions in the beginning that he's already killed widows before.
12 or 13, I think. Yeah.
Well, I think in the end of the movie, they talk about it was 27 or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All right.
Remember when they're doing the trial? It's like he killed all these women and And then I'm not sure I wasn't sure what was happening here. This is where it got really
I
weird.
agree. I agree. And I feel like a lot of this is, it's also, that 300-page script of James Agee's that gets condensed down into, something like a movie where, by Lawton. I'm sure things get lost.
The script was 300 pages?
Yes.
Wow.
So James Agee, yeah. So James Agee was like, he had written scripts. He co-wrote African Queen for John Huston, and he had a limited number of screenwriting credits, but he was also known as like one of the kind of like the most well-regarded film critic at the time.
So he knows how long a movie is, but yet
look, I mean, like, this happens certainly, and it's also probably a first draft, right?
And also, James Agee, maybe he knew it or not, but he was definitely up against the clock because he indulged and died young, and actually died before this movie came out.
Yeah.
So maybe that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a book of Agee screenplays that includes this, and the foreword is by John Huston, and he basically just talks about how, how gentle of a soul Agee was, but how hard living he was, and his rumpled suits and his lack of attention to vanity, and he abused himself, and there's controversy, or at least people don't seem to be very clear on why he didn't revise the script, and Lawton did. But I could also imagine that this is a low budget movie, and in the relatively short amount of time that they have to do this, having the guy who wrote a 300-page script for a 90-minute movie go back and try to revise it would probably be less effective than somebody else, the director, just going, I got to cut this thing down.
The window's probably closing. Mitchum only has so much time to do his thing.
Yeah. And it's similar to Citizen Kane. I mean, and the Mankiewicz-Wells controversy with it, where, people talk about, want to assign credit, but Mankiewicz wrote a big unwieldy screenplay that Orson Welles turned into a movie. So,
But I mean, considering it was 300 pages, I mean, it was an hour and a half. Like, that's cutting it down by more than a third. Yes. Like, it's less than a third.
More, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
like
I don't know math,
probably
but
80,
I know
85 pages, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you're losing a lot. But yeah, to your point about the kind of mob at the end and everything, it's a little like, wait, are they going after Mitchum? Are they,
that was my question, because it was like it looked like they were going after the kids, right?
Yeah, well, it feels like that because they see him and they start freaking out. But the
way it's cut, because it's like in the courtroom, like all you see is the boy. You never see him, and you never see Mitchum in the courtroom, which I thought was weird. So there was a lot of weird editing going on.
Yeah, and
at the back of that film.
Icy is flipped out. She's now gone because she realizes she's enabled this, and I guess it's broke her brain or whatever. Because Icy Spoon. So when you see her again, the first thing she says is "lynch him," and right. She's not middle about it, and then they're out there like the Frankenstein mob, where they've got ropes and broken chairs and torches and stuff like that.
Icy has an axe.
Yeah.
and then they see her in the store, and she's going, "There's the two he sinned against, blah blah blah," and Miss and Lillian Gish realizes like, you better get out of here, and she drags them out the back way. And
but the fact that it's not paid off, though, the fact that the mob's going down the street, we see Lillian Gish leave with the kids, and then hand off to Mitchum coming out the back, snuck out the back, and then it's just like that's it. There's no further payoff
resolution to the mob. Yeah.
Well, there is the hangman that you kind of see walk by him, and he's like, with pleasure or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's about to go do the job.
Great. But I mean, there's just not a payoff to the mob. Like they're leave them out there.
It also
that's great at the beginning. He regrets hanging Peter Graves, and then we come back around to him. He's like, I'm looking forward to this one.
Right.
Yeah.
But that just raises.
He's looking at his own kids and everything. Yeah. And then it cuts to the other kids in the playground so thoughtfully singing the Hangman song in front of Pearl and John.
Yeah, fucking
Yeah.
monsters. Yeah.
And then Pearl's singing along with it, and he's like, "Don't do that." Yeah.
Poor Pearl, again, Pearl is so wonderfully innocent, and to the point of rushing to Mitchum's arms and really trusting him and everything. And also just, what happens to the money is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids don't keep. I guess the police took the money. I mean,
well, that's the thing. We don't know what happened.
It's not clear. Yeah.
Well, they clearly don't have it unless Lillian Gish spent $10,000 on the watch.
Well, they all had better clothes. Did you notice that? Like at the end,
Yeah,
like they all.
I've forgotten what happened to the money and was expecting John to hand Lillian Gish the dollar or whatever and go, this might help us.
Yeah.
That's because you're from today, and this is back then.
Right. Well,
the way you're seeing it, the money is evil.
Yeah, exactly. Lillian Gish would have been like, this is blood money. We're not.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that there's an expectation that would be dramatized, though. I mean, and the fact that it's not. Here's the thing, though, about a lot of this stuff where it feels like some parts are missing or it doesn't quite come together or whatever. Yeah. I think that that's of value in a lot of ways. I think if this movie was more conventional, it wouldn't be thought of as well now. Right. I don't think that I think the gaps and stuff and the places where you can dream about it and the places that can haunt you because you don't know exactly are the powerful things in a lot of ways.
I'm with you.
It's interesting. Once Lillian Gish shoots him with the bird shot, you never hear Mitchum again. All you hear is his "woo" as he's running.
Yeah, don't you hear him sing though? They have like a duet.
Yeah, that's true. But
but that's before. That's before the show.
Oh, that's before.
I think it's before when they're kind of standing off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, and she's like, "I'm not afraid of you," and then I'm going to join you in this hymn that I know very well. No, again, that was great. Kind of.
Yeah, that was kind of bizarre.
Yeah, he exits the movie like the car dealer in Fargo.
Right.
Yeah, just reduced to animal howls.
Right.
Interesting. Hilarious.
I forget who was he was originally going to get for the Miss Cooper part. And Elsa Lancaster said, well, Lillian Gish. And since he had been watching all the silence, I think he was like, oh, yeah, duh. And, this is perfect. And it's like, because she can really talk in real life. And
she is great in it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
What did you guys think about the messaging having to do with children enduring tragedy and horrible things? And that
I get it. Sadly,
stronger and
at a young age, I get it, and certainly not under the circumstances of John and Pearl. But no, it's I saw truth in that.
I did. I mean, the resilience thing. I think it's just talking. I mean, to me, I took it just as, you have the ability to be resilient because you can move past stuff. I mean, that is certainly, pre, Freudian
era
idea, Yeah, like it's exactly like it's the, it's the kind of idea of what children were in, that I don't think we have anymore. You know?
And the greatest
for sure not
to float down the river in Ohio. But I really that reminds me. I always I'd so badly want them to grab some food off the table before they run. Because
they had money. Why didn't they use it?
He made this enormous spread that Icy made, and he puts it out like he's trying more to get the thing out of them. I'm like,
I think it's probably because a literal monster is following them. There's that thing where they're in the cellar and they're running out, and this what is kind of an awkward shot, that profile shot of the stairs and him monster and up
Frankenstein in that moment.
It was Frankenstein, absolutely Frankenstein.
And cellars really aren't 70 feet tall. That was
unless you're in Amsterdam.
That was another great place to make that really steep
that's just the truth. Yeah.
Movies are fake.
Yeah, that's not a cruel joke.
It's very
literally.
silent.
I've been in Amsterdam and I've been in houses like that, and they are deep cellars. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, do we want to go?
I don't want to misinterpret them like
on that hill.
Yeah, I don't want some sort of cruel joke or anything. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I swear
they just did it because it looked cool. It was like it's great.
Yeah. No.
It's effective. I mean, it's like it's not about making everything real. It's about making everything feel like something.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Stanley Cortez, the DP, talked about how, in the interviews I watched with him, he does the thing where he takes a lot of credit for the visuals of it, but he also, he defers in some ways to Lawton. But he talked about making that scene where when he kills her, the very stylized triangle, him doing, and the fact that Mitchum is doing this kind of Caligari-ish sort of silent, bizarre movement business, and that Cortez thinks about stuff in terms of music, and he was thinking, like, Lawton is asking him what he's thinking about when lighting it, and he tells him that it's a particular waltz that he's imagining that's kind of influencing the feel of the way he lit it, and then Lawton gets on board with this, and like the score ends up reflecting that waltz because he had the composer Walter Schulman come down and like observe them shooting this and talked about how the music could work with it, and also Walter Schulman, famous for composing the Dragnet theme, but and I actually can't think of a lot of other stuff I know that he's done, but like the ways that these elements come together, the very bold visuals that Stanley Cortez shoots. Also, Stanley Cortez notoriously very slow, which I think is another reason why they probably didn't get all the shots that they needed. But very slow on a low budget movie. But but obviously it pays off in the way in some of these amazing visuals.
They get into the Christmas ending, so where everything sort of collects and tries to ground things, and that now there's this happy life. John's actually acting like a kid who has parents. He gets a watch, which is what I believe he wanted in the window early on when they're looking at it. And Pearl's probably assuming, just take some money out of this doll and just
When I first saw this film, I had this idea of what the ending would be, which is, you may notice at the beginning there's a bit where Pearl is making paper dolls out of the money, and I thought the end of the movie would be Robert Mitchum finds the money, but it's all paper dolls, and
that would have been a great ending.
I'm sort of disappointed.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had these images.
That's the Ed Sullivan.
Oh, that's the Oh, this shot actually the shot of her in silhouette with the gun and only her lap is lit.
Great. And then he's right there. Yeah.
With that little spot thing behind the gun. And like I think that's one of the most amazing images in movies.
My God, yeah.
No, we haven't talked about Ruby, which is a very disturbing kind of character.
Yeah.
I was going to just skip right over her, but
yeah, the teenage girl who's starting to blossom.
Yeah,
and with the near, she's one of Lillian Gish's adopted kids, and getting older, obviously, and starting to, feel
we have an actual cowboys.
Yeah, we have an actual lady on the podcast this time. Allison, what did you think about it?
Please.
Well, like I said before, I mean, it's obvious that like all of the women, like, have this weird, like, he has a trance over them in some way. Like every single woman in the movie. Except for our hero, really. They have an effect. I thought it was interesting how frank she was in the store about, they're gonna get in, they get in trouble, and then I end up with another kid.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was like, wow.
In a pre Roe v. Wade world where like people are just, people are people, and they have sex, and then there's kids, and then but it's the Depression, and people can't take care of the kids, and it's I thought that was all pretty interesting, and an interesting not as, for that Lillian Gish character feels like she should be something a little unappealing to me, like that she should be this kind of strict Bible-y lady or whatever. But she's a lot more, I think, a more interesting and nuanced character.
I mean, she's the right hand to Mitchum's left.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it shouldn't, but not in a way that I don't find it as heavy-handed as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's more interest and nuance in there.
Yeah, that's where they actually take it off of John and Pearl for a minute and let her deal with her. And she understands. She's you were looking for love, and she hugs her.
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly.
She's a realist, but she's
Yeah.
also religious.
yeah,
And it's like that combo is really forward thinking for its time
And-
in a movie like this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Absolutely.
And treats everybody like human beings, not, she's not just judging everybody
Right.
or like making pronouncements or whatever. I mean, she treats people like human beings and like, that live in the world, like we do.
And if you think about it, like everybody else in the movie does judge people and does make pronouncements, and
Yes.
she's the antithesis of that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
she's a little high and mighty about herself and her role, but that's her
Yeah,
only
yeah.
real. That's her only real flaw. Is she's like, well, I'll probably have to take care of them because I'm so strong and this is what I do.
But it's
And
also
it's
self-justification.
but it's
and
okay.
It's the setup of her character, though. I mean, like she's presenting herself that way, but then through her behavior, we see something different.
Right.
How was the movie regarded contemporarily in the 50s and everything? I mean, I know now it's a classic, but
Critics hated it, and it made no
Horrible.
money.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I don't know if you saw any quotes or anything like that from critics.
Have anything specific?
And I would imagine that, even an audience really wouldn't be excited to see something that's scary and threatening.
I think that probably people didn't know what to think of it. I think that it was like, I don't know that, especially back then, finding its audience would have been rather difficult, I think.
Yeah. And we think of it as, I mean, not the people on this podcast or whatever, but in general, you think of the, it's an old movie, it's in black and white, it's stylized or whatever, but it's so out of step with what was being made in the mid 50s, where there's a move towards, more naturalism and shooting on location and, stuff that is not going down a river and ending up at two cutout houses in the background, it's so deliberately stylized that I think that people would look at it and go, well, this is old fashioned and dumb. We get better stuff than this,
We the tributes to silent film, but in the 50s, I think a lot of people were probably still just embarrassed by silent film.
And it's not just tribute. I think it's just speaking in the language of silent films, and which is legitimate. I mean, Martin Scorsese will use that iris shot. Like all sorts of there you could use anything, and but I think that a non. The 50s were not really a time when there was any kind of popular sense of, arty films, and stuff. It was just, they're cities, and cities had art houses, and they, and you could maybe see Kurosawa and, later Bergman and stuff like that. But I don't think there was it's not, an arty movie was never going to make money. And
that's the thing. It's an arty movie, but it's not urban or urbane.
Right.
Maybe people aren't ready for like a world.
It's very naive in a lot of ways. It doesn't. It's not something that sophisticates get behind or whatever. At that point.
I'm forgetting who did Cape Fear, but I wonder if this was kind of a dress rehearsal for Mitchum's Max Cady in
pretty
Cape
much.
Fear.
I mean, I think that it's. I think it's. I do know who made the original Cape Fear, but J. Lee Thompson, I think.
J. Lee Thompson.
Really? Was it J. Lee Thompson? Holy cow! I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, I think that it's that Mitchum was drawn to roles like this, right? Like, I mean, he loved working with Lawton. Like, apparently despite how harsh we're talking about Lawton coming off in those dailies, it's like people were devoted to him. Like everybody they talked to was found him like a really compelling character that they wanted to be there with and do this film with.
Well, I've heard that about the K Mutiny trial that he did on Broadway and everything, and even James Garner was one of the judges that never has a line, but is among the inquiry, naval inquiry, and everything while everyone is testifying. And and I mean, just again, actors cast of Fonda or not Fonda. Was it Fonda? No,
I think it was Fonda.
Yeah, it was absolutely it was Fonda. But Fonda and Lloyd Nolan and all these wonderful actors and stuff, actors in that way. So I could see the cast wanting to please Lawton and everything, and appreciating his prestige and his opinion.
Do we know who led the critical reevaluation of the film?
I mean, I don't. I mean, I certainly remember it being considered something more of a thing in the 80s when I was a kid and first getting into movie nerd stuff. But I don't know really though.
It must have happened in the 70s.
I suppose so.
That's what I was going to say. And again, I'm being a bit older than all of you. But I can't say if it was 70s, but I think it was. I think it was one of those great Hollywood documentaries about the history of Hollywood where they show the Mitchum love-hate scene and everything. I know. By the way, Tulsa King, there's a character, Robert Patrick's son has his name on his fist, Cole. And evocative, much as Ian pointed out in Sideshow Bob and The Simpsons. Yeah. Right. But no, man, that's pop culture in action. Absolutely, man. I love that stuff.
I mean, other directors start talking. I mean, Scorsese does talk about this movie, and he was actually involved in the restoration. And he was a teacher at NYU, maybe in the 70s, so maybe
he was.
Yeah.
From the early 70s. Yeah. He was because like Alan Arkush was one of his students, and Alan Arkush was working at the Fillmore East, and Martin Scorsese got tickets to see the band from him. That dates it.
Yeah, that makes up for Heart Beeps.
Look. I'm not making the case for Alan Arkush as a director, though.
But also, like this movie is, you can see the Coen brothers. Like this movie certainly had to have a huge impact on them. Yeah.
Well, it's simple.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to say one thing. We were talking about how it was received at the time, and Joe Dante did a Trailers from Hell about this, and he talked about how they screened it at a kids' matinee. This is how he saw it the first time. He said there were 10 cartoons, and then apparently the only movie they had to screen was Night of the Hunter, which they screened for an audience of children who, presumably this was like seeing the Velvet Underground and then everybody starts a band, right? Yeah. Like you're traumatized by Night of the Hunter as a child, and then you go on to make Gremlins or whatever the fuck, right?
That's true. That probably also perplexed critics. Like it's a movie that stars kids, but it's not for kids.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Yeah, put that on. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's also like from a marketing perspective, I could see where this movie would be completely impossible to market.
Yeah. None of the posters had the kids in them. I guess because they didn't want people to think it was a kids movie. But then, like when people. You would think some of these posters, you would think it's a romance between Robert Mitchum and Shelley. It's like, what movie are you selling, guys?
Yeah, well, so often that's the case when there's any little thing that they can exploit that feels like romance or maybe feels like, crime. That'll be the poster regardless of the movie.
Like Allison says, imagine how hard to sell that is. Like,
it's impossible. And I've done some really hard
killer, and he's after
stuff
two
to sell.
Kids.
Imagine this. Feel good movie of the year. Yeah.
But it is kind of classic Mitchum picking roles like this that, I don't care if they like it or not. I think it's as interesting or whatever.
Yeah, this is also post.
It's Mitchum bait.
Marijuana bust Mitchum, right? That
Absolutely.
happened in 1947. He went to the work farm for 6 months, and he just fucking came back and just through force of not giving a fuck, it did nothing to his career. So Mitchum could he could get away with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go, kids. We could wrap it there. I think we did good. Unless anyone else has some final thoughts, other than obviously for the uninitiated, you got to see this movie. We did our best, but feel free if we didn't give you a clear enough picture to consult other capsule reviews. But truly, a classic from the 50s, and
it's on Amazon and Tubi, I think. So
yeah, just watch it and let it wash over you. It's an oddball thing.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. I'm really glad everybody could join us today, and this was great. I hope some of you that are like Al or Lieber, you come back and do another movie with us at some point. That would be great.
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. All right, we can wrap it there. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. Until next time, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.